Hey guys, this is Joe from Good Shepherd Training. Today I want to talk about improvised weapons. You may find yourself in a location or traveling somewhere where you can't carry a firearm, but you want to be able to have something to defend yourself. Now, going off the assumption that of course you could have a knife or some type of bludgeoning tool, some type of small bat or something like that, what I want to talk more about is a weapon that you could either have set up beforehand that doesn't look like a weapon, or something, just maybe a concept of what may end up being a weapon that maybe you haven't thought of in the past. Now certainly we could all come up with things like, this is a walking stick, and certainly this is this is great for animals or two-legged creatures that are maybe trying to attack you in the wild. But I want to get beyond and get a little bit more creative. And we've always heard things, of course you always see in the active shooter videos, what is it, run and hide and fight as a last resort, and there's screwdrivers, of course the whole rolling up the magazine to strike someone, but I just don't know if that's got quite the punch, to put somebody down if they're really got a head of steam. I don't think there's too many places or too many bad areas where you're not going to find somebody that's got probably the cheapest, most most destructive weapon being a box cutter, something you can get at a hardware store for just a few dollars. But those are obvious, it's something, if somebody saw that, they immediately think weapon. So I want to talk about some things that when you see them, at least at first glance, you don't think of a weapon, and you could probably get through some type of security or something at your work, keep it at your desk, and at least you've got something that's a little bit better than you just your hands. Of course, it's going to look like for a second that I'm kind of raiding the toolbox here, but needle-nose pliers, I mean, that's going to fix a lot of things around the workplace or just really anywhere. And obviously you could use it as a stabbing tool. You don't have to have an injury to carry a cane. You could have a cane, you could carry it into work one day, you could set it there, and yeah, I got it if it hurts to walk one day. And anybody that's been in the military, it's the same movements as you would a bayonet, with a rifle. Of course, with a hooked walking cane, there's all types of fighting fighting techniques where you hook the back of the leg as you push, and you can hook the back of the neck and all that type of thing. And really, all of these things, once you've decided, hey, what, I'm gonna try to use this item or this item, it gives you a better chance of survival in a situation where you may need it. And you're just going to have to do a little bit of training, a little bit of practice, maybe a little bit of research yourself. And just about all of these are going to become a lethal weapon pretty quickly. So I wouldn't think that you could use this in just in a mutual combat fight and it really be legal. So screwdriver, if it's maybe you're fixing computers or whatever, maybe at work. Once you put something like this in your hand, you've got a jagged edge to where whenever you're hammer fisting, you've got something like that. I think you're in pretty good shape. I certainly would rather have this in my hand than nothing. While I'm talking about fist packs, a nickel roll. People, they talk about fist packs and all that, and they may discount them, but take it from somebody that's been hit with one of those things, it hurt, and it hurt pretty good. I think you're really you're packing on more of a punch. Pardon the pun. Little string, 550 cord, whatever, maybe a shoelace, just even a bolt or a socket. Or a bolt, something heavy enough, just something as simple as this. Somebody sees these two items, they don't automatically start thinking weapon. But once you drop it through, maybe cinch it, now you've got yourself, something that's, you can put some lumps on somebody's head. And a lot of the weapons you got to think about, some of them they almost cause discomfort or they hurt, and some of them you're really getting some good hits in, you're actually going to damage someone. So it's important to think, whether or not this is a weapon that's going to hurt somebody or whether it's going to injure them. It really, and when I'm getting to hurt or injure, I mean hurt as in that hurt, pain, or injure as in this is slowing me down, slowing down my attack. So that's something to think about as well. Again, back to the tools. This is just an item that doesn't look like it's going to be. Doesn't look like it's going to be a weapon, but it's just a 10mm wrench. But once you run this in through a keychain, and you got this on your keychain, and I mean, shoot, it's there, so you don't lose your keys, and it's easier to pull it out of your pocket and all that. But it can also be used as a coup baton and hit all kinds of spots of soft skin, eye, nose, up under the throat is of course going to be good. The groin. And once you hook something with this, or you really jam it in there, you could cause some pain. Same thing if you live in a northern region. This doesn't look like it's going to be, you know, a weapon, but it certainly is. I mean, you could really do some damage if you caught somebody in the face with one of these things if you just needed to. Having a soft belt, or at least a belt that folded, you know, like a gun belt, that doesn't look like anything, obviously. But once you take that, get something like this lock, and kind of similar to the locks and socks, as you may have heard about if you guys were in the military, or if you saw Full Metal Jacket. I mean, and this, you've got yourself a weapon. Just about anything you could attach there, you could use, and just get that centrifugal force, swing it around, and cause a lot of damage. The crutch, and I think the crutch would probably be used the wrong way. I mean, I could just about bend this thing barehanded, and of course break it over my knee. But if you take one of these things, set that to the side, and that's not bad for maybe poking, keeping somebody back. But these things, that's where you got a little bit more weight, a little bit more inertia, where you can really crack somebody with one of these things. Obviously, the fork. Everyone thinks, you know, the fork is you're going to stab and all that, and sure, that's you know, that's reasonable. But you know, the spoon gets kind of a bad rap. Certainly, if you got a pointed edge like that, you know, the spoon gets a bad rap too. This is kind of works similar to the wrench there, where you can poke all the soft tissues of the face and neck, even into the stomach, or even just good hard shots to the bicep, tricep. You could, you know, or thigh. You could maybe disable the leg. Just a little small wooden broom, just like a pool cue. Everybody thinks you're going to take this and you're going to want to break it over somebody's head and all this kind of thing, and that certainly looks good in the movies. But if you take a wooden stick like this and you hold it about 45 degrees onto the ground, and then you stomp right there in the middle, you've actually created one, maybe even two spears. So if you're in one of those active shooter situations where they tell you to run and hide and fight if you have to, you get a wooden broom, you cut that joker in half, and you now have a spear that you're on the other side of the door with. And I'd certainly rather have a spear than whatever it is they have on these videos, more times than not. I'm gonna travel with a can there. That doesn't seem like it's going to be anything either. Got a roll of socks, but once I take this sock, toss it, or correction, take this can, toss it in this sock. Now what do I have? Another weapon just like I had earlier with the lock. Certainly going to be a something you could use. Same thing with a shirt. Throw the shirt in the middle, wrap it around. Actually, I almost had to use something like this one time. I was at the Kentucky Derby, and these two drunks almost got in a fight. And you know, I don't really care. You can fight all you want, but my pregnant wife's standing there, and hey, it's like I'm going to keep these guys back. And it's like, hey fellas, get back, and you know, grab about a 4 or 5 pound candle and a t-shirt, and just threw that candle right in the middle of the t-shirt. Grabbed it like this, and I'd kind of set up my line of defense, like, hey, if these guys start fighting around my pregnant wife, you know, there's going to be a point where I push them back, but there's certainly going to be a point where it's like, okay, these are two grown men, and you know, I'm in danger, and I feel like maybe I need to defend myself and my family. Well, that mint julep candle coming around swinging, I think would have done the trick. Any kind of lock is going to be good, because you could just about attach it to any kind of rope, any kind of belt, especially if it's like this and it's unlocked. You could snap it into a belt where the open portion is, and if it's got the keys, it looks even less conspicuous. Really, you just got to be thinking just about anything sharp, just about anything heavy, just about anything that looks like a stick. You got to see where it kind of fits in and what it looks like as a weapon. And you might have to start thinking kind of fast. You know, whether it's a fellow coworker that has just decided to attack you, whether you fired a guy, you know, off of you know, it's a Friday afternoon, you have to go and you have to let somebody go. You never know what kind of situation you may find yourself in. Certainly the active shooters, where they talk about run and hide and fight if you have to. I'd certainly rather have something like one of these items here than nothing. I mean, I hope that helps. There's tons of other stuff out there, flashlights with ridges around that you could hit somebody. Of course, it's going to collect DNA. You could blind them. And I kind of wanted to make the video going past those, kind of past those obvious things, and just about any toolbox. And I guess I'm a little bit guilty because the toolbox over here kind of close, and that's where you kind of pick up a few things. And I say, hey, you know, I'm just going to throw some weapons. And this is just walking around the house in a few minutes. I would have broke the broom, but I didn't want to all of a sudden find this crutch. You know, the wife I talked about earlier might have been using that as an improvised weapon on me. But I hope this helps. You got anything to add, please let me know. I appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed the video. And I'm Joe from Good Shepherd Training. The Good Shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. Thanks.